Hey everyone, well hi, we're back. We have actually not a long time to be together now. Just we'll be stopping at 4 o'clock for sure, as some of our group is leaving very shortly after that. You have to be leaving out by yeah. Well, we'll not prolong it. Maybe there'll even be a little bit of sunshine, it could be. It would be nice. Well, now we come to perhaps for humanity, the most important path of all. I have to erase this little part, however. Let's bring that out. Lesser lives regathered. Okay. 49 groups of Petries and Solo Logo. That's an interesting one. Okay. Whoop. Let's hope that doesn't happen again. Cosmic paths. And back. Right. Well, we'll see how far we'll get with this. Maybe we can do something with the first section from Cosmic Fire. Now, that's on. This is on. That's on. This is on. Have to make sure everything's on. Okay. So we won't worry about these hierarchical changes right now. He's discussing the creation of the 9 paths and how more about the hierarchical plans has been given out and great happiness had occurred. So many more have found their way into the ashrams. The 6th degree becoming the important point of the decision rather than the 5th degree and so forth. Yeah, this is important to read, but we will not now read it. Instead, we will all begin to tread the path to Sirius. One way or another. Raise initiations. This one is Cosmic Fire, and do you have the page on it? 1258. 1258 in Cosmic Fire. All right. The path is of all the paths the most veiled in the clouds of mystery. Immediately, that seems like a hint because of the relation to the 5th ray. The idea of the clouds is found in the 5th ray, the veiling of the mountaintop by the clouds. So if we go here to Esoteric Psychology 1, and we look for the names of the 5th ray Lord, 5th ray Lords. Let's see if we can find it here. Yeah. Look at this. The thunders crash around the mountaintop. Dark clouds conceal the form. The mists arising from the watery sphere serve to distort the wondrous something found within the secret place. And some of the names talk about veiled in mystery, see. Some of the names, the cloud upon the mountaintop. Now, we might wonder, this being such an important path for humanity, why so veiled in mystery? The reason for this mystery will only be apparent to the pledged initiate. Not just the initiate, but the pledged one. So, presumably, one beyond the third degree. Though a clue to the secret may be gained if it is realized that in a peculiar and esoteric sense, the Sun, Sirius, and the Pleiades hold a close relation to each other. Well, both are closely related to both Manas and Buddhi. Interestingly enough, it is the Pleiades who give the mind aspect to our planetary logoi, and it is Sirius who gives the mind aspect to the solar logos. It is a relation analogous to that which lower mind holds to higher mind. And in this case, at least, Sirius holds the place of higher mind. However, if you really think about it, the Pleiades are such a stupendous source of energy. They really are the hub of our whole cosmic wheel. So it's only in a relative sense that Sirius would bring in higher mind. The Pleiades have a great relation to cosmic buddhi. Both of them are nourishers of the solar angels. But anyway, he's making the analogy here between that which is more concrete, the Pleiades, in this case, and Sirius holding the place of the higher mind. He actually says that the mystery of the Sphinx is a mystery connected with higher and lower mind. The lower is receptive to or negatively polarized to the higher. Sirius is the seat of higher mind, and Mahat, as it is called, or universal mind, sweeps into manifestation in our solar system through the channel of the Pleiades. Sirius is the seat of higher mind, and Mahat, universal mind, sweeps into manifestation in our solar system through the channel of the Pleiades. So someone asked, what about universal mind? Here it is a higher definition. Universal mind is here more than the mind of the solar logos, but it is cosmic in nature. It is almost as if a great triangle of Mahatic energy was thus formed. Here it is, the tinkling bell. I've been looking for the tinkling bell, remember, in the sense of Pleiades in relation to sound. You realize that all of this has not been recorded. I was on mute. Oh my. Hello, webinarians. Sorry, I've been talking for about 10 minutes. I forgot to unmute. Oh, so sorry. Anyway, now we're back, and I'll just repeat a little bit, if I may. I've got to leave out a sign on my computer that says unmute, and when I can't hear myself. So anyway, I mentioned that there had been hierarchical changes. The 7 to 9 paths was one of them. The fact that there had been so many improvements in the hierarchical situation in the last 25 years between the cosmic fire and the rays and the initiations. But we would study that some other time. I talked about the path to Sirius being related to the names of the fifth ray Lord. It says it's veils in clouds of mystery, and so is the fifth ray. And I did read a little section there. It's called The Cloud Upon the Mountaintop, and the very beginning of the stanza gives the idea that the thunders crash around the mountaintop. Dark clouds conceal the form. The mists arising from the lower sphere serve to distort the wondrous. So everything is good. The mountain is covered. The secret of initiation is covered by clouds in relation to this fifth ray. Remember, too, that the third initiation is ruled by the fifth ray, and there it is that we are able to penetrate that layer of clouds and achieve the true level of the higher initiations. Okay. So the pledged initiate understands this situation, the pledged initiate being a higher initiate, just the way the pledged disciple is so often an initiate of the first or second degree. Sirius and the Pleiades both bring in Manas, they both bring in Buddhi, but Sirius brings in Manas to the higher to the Solar Logos and Pleiades to the heavenly men. The mystery of the Sphinx is the relation between higher and lower mind. In this particular case, Sirius holds the place of the higher mind, but not really. It does, but that's only relative. The Pleiades is a much greater source. There's a triple Mahatic connection here, and he's about to describe a triangle of Mahat. We did learn an interesting thing earlier, that Mahat, the line of pure Mahat, is the line of the Black Lodge, but Sirius is also the cosmic Christ. So there's a very strong second ray, sixth ray, connected with Sirius, just like Venus. I think the rays are virtually identical. Second ray, major monad. Sixth ray, sub-monad. Fifth ray, soul. Second ray, personality. As for the rest, I'm not sure. I'm not even sure of these others, but so the idea of the fifth ray soul of Sirius, like the fifth ray soul of Venus, seems pretty well substantiated. So that was just a really quick review, and otherwise it was Charlie Chaplin in a pantomime of esotericism. It is almost as if the great triangle of Mahatic energy was thus formed. So Sirius transmits energy to our solar system via the sevenfold brooding mother, the silver constellation, whose voice is as a tinkling bell, and whose feet pass lightly o'er the radiant path between our worlds and hers. Such a beautiful statement. And I think, lest I lose tinkling bell again, I'm going to put it in AAB extracts. And of course, the AAB extracts is for you too, right? I don't know. I've been giving that to you periodically. It keeps growing. Okay. But all the little things that I've gathered from the teaching, all those little gems are in the AAB extracts, so maybe I better write that down too, to put that on the list that I'm supposed to give you. Okay. I believe for Sirius and for Venus, a major second ray monad, cosmic Christ, a subsidiary sixth ray monad, a fifth ray soul, a second ray personality, and whatever the rays of the personality ray may be, you know, there's no way there's no way of knowing that particularly. Although interestingly, Sirius has a tremendous connection to Masonry, and Masonry has a very powerful ray 4 and 7. So we may have to think about that. So not yet? Okay, look, Sirius and Venus, the same. Major monadic ray, ray 2. The secondary monadic ray, ray 6. In the case, as a matter of fact, he absolutely says so. For he says the monadic ray of Venus is ray 6. But as we know, the major monadic ray can only be 1, 2, or 3. So soul is 5, and personality perhaps 2. For both of them. For both of them. What page are we on, Ella? Okay, thank you. Tinkling bell. Sevenfold brooding mother. Very beautiful. Anyway, that's a speculation, but I think there's really good basis to back that up. Okay. I believe that Venus is like a little Sirius. You know what's very interesting? Within the 7 solar systems, of which ours is one, there is one of our planets that's related to each of those solar systems, including our own. The planet most related to our particular solar system within our system is Jupiter. The planet in our solar system most related to Sirius, I believe, is Venus. And then we would go through the other sacred planets and try to find the planet in the 7 solar systems, which one of those planets was related to most. Like, what is the planet in our solar system most related to Alpha Centauri? What is the planet in our solar system most related to Procyon? Or maybe to Altair? And I think we would find lines of connection in that way. So there is a line of Mahatic energy. Let's see, what is the other part? It doesn't really elaborate here. Within the solar system, there is an interesting correspondence to this cosmic interplay in the relation between the Venus scheme, our Earth scheme, and the Venus chain in our scheme. Okay, so apparently the line of Mahatic energy that we are talking about appears to be Sirius, Pleiades, and our Sun, I guess. Okay. Sirius, Pleiades, let's just say, is the triangle, we'll put it that way as a question, is this cosmic triangle, Sirius, Pleiades, and our Sun, in which case the correspondence would be Sirius to the Venus scheme, Pleiades to the Earth scheme, our Sun to the Venus chain of the Earth scheme. That would be interesting. Anyway, not to get too bogged down in detail, correspondence would be Venus scheme, Earth scheme, Venus chain of the Earth scheme. Ah, wow, that's interesting. Because you know what that means? Well, I hardly know what it means either, but don't worry about it. Because he did. He did it. He did it. Within the solar system, the relation is the Venus scheme, Earth scheme, Venus chain in our scheme. Now, okay, so inside, I believe we somehow our Sun is as if our Sun is part of a chain system in the Pleiades. Can that be so? Look, this is involved. I don't want to try to think this out right now, but I think the solar angels descended this line. Yes, exactly. Venus scheme, Earth, and also don't forget Sirius and the Sun. And not only that, the Pleiades are definitely nourishing the solar angels. It's not just Sirius. Okay. I see a way to work this out, and it has implications. In other words, look, very briefly, we have a chain in our Earth scheme. We have chains. Is there a sense in which our whole Earth scheme is itself a chain within the solar system? Because chains are chakras. In other words, if you look at this map, that's maybe not the right one to, yeah, okay. Well, you know, following my thought may be a difficult thing to do today. My thought is ahead of me right now. But take a look here. Chains are chakras. Okay, hold on. Here's the Earth scheme with its chains. Chains are chakras. Planetary schemes are chakras, so are they also chains. So within the solar scheme, our Earth scheme is a chakra of a kind. We know that. Okay, now, well, that's the better one. Now, within a larger system is our whole solar system a chain? Yes, okay. And what system is that? Is that the system of a cosmic logos, or is that the one about whom naught may be said? This is an intricate matter, but let's just say we are looking for the being in whom our whole solar system is a chain. And that's probably I would call that the Sirian system. In the Sirian system, our whole solar system and solar logos is as a chain. In that larger thing. And we can find a being in whom constellations are chains. Constellations themselves. Look, we can even find a being in whom galaxies are chains. All right, good enough. Good enough. We'll leave the details out of it because they get messy. One addition. Sumerian said. In their myth, the Pleiades is the great mother. The first man, Enki. Prototype of human. The connection from Earth to Pleiades. Earlier. Okay. All right. Unfortunately, I can't repeat that. I would like to, but so they're going to miss that. But there is this Sumerian relation. Yeah. Pleiades were the source of a man. Okay, well, that makes sense. Yes. There's a very strong connection between Pleiades and Earth. As a matter of fact, one of the Pleiades married the Earth. Yes, perhaps it's Maya indeed. Okay, I lost my place here, but I'm coming back to it. All right, within etc. Within the solar system, there is an interesting cosmic interplay between the Venus scheme, our Earth scheme, and the Venus chain of our scheme. Okay. Now, going on, curiously enough, it will be through a comprehension of the human antaskarana, or the path which links higher and lower mind, and which is constructed by the thinker during the process of evolution, that light on this abstruse matter will come. I think we're perhaps talking about, yeah, we're talking about the relationship between the mental unit and the monastic permanent atom on the mental plane. There is a connection in this way, at least. The connection is this way, that Venus, in some senses, represents the monastic permanent atom, and Earth represents the mental unit. And that I can substantiate in other parts of the books, but Venus represents the monastic permanent atom, and Earth the mental unit. And then we still probably have to find some further division. There is, in connection with our planetary logos, just such an antaskarana. And as he builds and constructs it, it forms a part of the fourth path. That's the hint. That's the hint about Venus. We're building an antikarana toward Venus, which is part of the fourth path. See what I mean? Remember what I said? Well, if you want to go on the fourth path, you're probably going to have to stop at Venus, in the Venus school. So I think this is the hint. He, the planetary lord, constructs it. It forms part of the fourth path. The antikarana is between Earth and Venus, I think, unless contradicted in the ahead, and permits the passage of the bulk, he likes that word, of the bulk of our humanity to this distant objective, and this without obstruction. And what that implies is that on the other paths there may be occasional obstruction. A clue to the nature of this path, and as to the reason why so many of the human monads seek this particular stream of energy, lies in the right understanding of the above suggestion. Well, okay, so we'll have to ponder the antikarana, the mental unit, the monastic permanent atom, Earth and Venus, and the relationship of Sirius to it. Okay. Yeah, we could spend an hour on it, but let's not do that. Let's just get the overall view. The initiates who tread this way are primarily those of the fourth and sixth order, and now we realize what that might mean. Orders. A hint. Orders may mean rays, monadic rays. In other words, look, we're going to learn now that Master Serapis, the fourth ray monad, is going to Sirius. That Master Jesus, the sixth ray monad, is going to Sirius. We have learned that Betelgeuse is heart and gives us the second ray, and is also highly advanced. We have learned that our sun is of the fourth order. So can we extrapolate from the rays of Master Serapis and the rays of Master Jesus to the orders of stars, since monadic rays of men are determining this particular path, and he calls them orders, he calls their rays orders. When we run into the ray of a star, or the order of a star, can we relate it to the monadic ray? In other words, is the monadic ray of Betelgeuse 2? Is the monadic ray of our sun 4? I think it is. The first monadic ray you run into with our sun is probably 4. It's a yellow sun, and it is connected, I think, with the struggles of the fourth ray. So orders may mean monadic rays. And this is somehow very, you know how we all puzzle over the question of orders. What do they really mean? What plane you're polarized on, all that kind of stuff. How developed are you? Let's go on and see what he says. As earlier pointed out, this is the path that the lords of compassion most frequently follow. And at this time, the Egyptian master, Serapis, and the master Jesus are preparing themselves to tread it. Sixth ray monad, fourth ray monad, because you can't be the Chohanic head of an ashram without being a monadic expression on that ray. The mystics of the Occident, who have come into incarnation during the past 1,000 years are a peculiar group of egos whose impulse is towards this type of cosmic energy. The word ego is interesting. It can mean lower ego, which it rarely does for him. It can mean soul. It can mean triad. And on some occasions, it means monad. It just means egg, really. You know, it's the egg-like container of the identity. So, in this particular case, it could mean monad. In this system, in other words, these mystics may have ray 6 as the monadic ray, because Master Jesus does, and they reflect him. In this system, they have developed certain basic recognitions, and the ecstasy of the Occidental mystic is the germ latent within him, which will one day flower forth into that cosmic rapture for which we as yet have no name. So a lot of people are expecting the rapture these days. It did come and go. You know, May 21st. We appear to be still here, I think. But there is a reality to this rapture thing. It's not about dragging the physical body up into the sky, you know. It's something more about an exalted bliss state that pertains to the monad. Okay. Okay. So we are talking monadic matters here, because you cannot talk about the paths without talking monad. It's not about soul. It's the monad that treads these paths. So everything said about the types here that are treading the paths is about the monadic race, not the soul race. So I'm finding that quite, you know, I don't think I ever put that together quite until this moment, thinking. And that, of course, could reinforce the Ray 2 nature of Orion. Because an order, if Betelgeuse is of the second order, then is Orion itself of the second order, since Betelgeuse is probably a blind for Orion. Okay. Cosmic rapture and rhythmic bliss are the attributes of the fourth path, and we have a lot of dancers and other artists that on their own level are kind of getting into that right here on Idol. Dervishes, whirling dervishes. Yeah. Yes. Okay, yes, and you had a question. Serapis Bey, I think. There's also another master connected with the Brotherhood of Luxor, and he's called Tutuit Bey, but it just may be that is Serapis Bey. Tutuit Bey. I found that from a person. I found that from the light of the inner sanctuary, or the light in the sanctuary, Jeffrey Hodson's diary. Basically, the hidden wisdom of the Holy Bible, which is a several-volume theosophical book written by Jeffrey Hodson, was given to him by the Brotherhood of Luxor, transmitted by a certain Polydorus Isuranius. who, with Robert Ward, an Englishman, and Tutuit Bey, are a triangle in the Brotherhood of Luxor. So it's called Light in the Sanctuary. And basically Jeffrey Hodson, who, you know, he's a high psychic and a Pisces Aries type, and he sort of describes his various encounters with the inner groups and some initiatory experience which looks pretty much like the third degree and so forth. Anyway, that's where I got it. Doing research for Serapis Bey. Serapis Bey was as famous as Christ. He had an enormous following. He didn't have any written form of his teaching. Only in symbols. Alexandria, old Alexandria is full of his symbols. There it was said also that they had 100 different names. Master Ruckus, he was called the man with 1,000 names, but also Serapis Bey. Yeah, sure. Could a name like Tutuit Bey be Serapis Bey or whatever? Could it be? Well, anyway, the Tibetan does refer to him as the Egyptian. In where? In Luxor. Luxor would be the place, yes. Yes, there is a major temple in Luxor. Not so many actually. It was somewhere between. Was it? Yes, something like that. Just before Christ. Yes, was his center. I think it's really worth to read this hidden wisdom of the Holy Bible. I think it could regenerate a lot of the Judeo-Christian misinterpretations. Anyway, let's cosmic rapture and rhythmic bliss are the attributes of the fourth path, and we read how the fourth ray type destroys the causal body with color and sound and so forth. So they start their training early. It is a form of identification which is divorced from consciousness altogether. It's life. It's a form of identification which relates to life. Yeah. The reason also why the majority of the sons of men follow this path lies in the fact of its numerical position. Obviously, we're the fourth grade of hierarchy, right? The units of the fourth grade of hierarchy, the fourth kingdom, the bulk of the fourth grade of hierarchy on this fourth globe of the fourth scheme. Aha, interesting. These units of the fourth kingdom, that's the human kingdom, the bulk of the fourth grade of hierarchy on this fourth globe of the fourth scheme in a solar system of the fourth order are innately compelled to seek this fourth way in order to perfect themselves. Perfect. Perfection is the quality of energy which is found on the fourth level of the atmic plane. And the fourth ray types are called the corrector of the form until it's perfect. And these beings are called, who tread this path, so if you want to tread this path, blissful dancing points of fanatical devotion. Well, a lot of fourth ray, a lot of sixth ray together here, right? For people, because, the head of all the artistic work and the head of all the devotional work, they're both treading this path or getting ready to do so. Blissful dancing points of fanatical devotion. This is as near as we can get to the true description. And this is a little more occult here. They have also been described as the revolving wheels which turn upon themselves and find an open door to perfect bliss. So, from fourth dimensionality to bliss, via Buddhi, the fourth. There is, he's going to summarize and show the symbol and yes, and perhaps this is their path. You know, the idea, of course, of rotary motion is also in there, but rotary motion is already built into Sirius, because we're told that Sirius was even more powerful in the previous solar system than this one, when it was being perhaps even more monastic than it is now at this point. Okay, how are we doing here? Right, okay. So, onward. Revolving wheels turning upon themselves. Now, that kind of reminds you of what happens to every chakra when it becomes incandescent and near its consummation. At initiation, it becomes fourth dimensional. It turns upon itself and finds the open door to perfect bliss. It feels Buddhic. It feels monadic. The energy of Path 4 reaches us from Sirius via the sun. Sun. Okay. This must be understood as a blind, behind which one of the signs of the zodiac veils itself. Now, well, there are some triangles, and one of the triangles is Sirius, Leo, Jupiter. So that that sun may well stand for Leo. We'll see. At least this triangle does exist. You know, it goes Pleiades, Cancer, Venus, and Great Bear, Aries, Pluto. These high relations. But there's no question that Gemini has a strong connection with Sirius as well. So the energy of Path 4 reaches us from Sirius via the sun. Maybe he'll elaborate on that. The hierarchies concerned with this specific type of cosmic force hide themselves under the numbers 14 and 17. Yes, I'm afraid it is something of a blind. I know a man who's tried to solve this. Maybe he has succeeded. This will serve as a complete blind to the average reader, but will carry to the pledged Chela the hint needed to produce illumination. Subplanes 14, 14. Subplanes 17. Well, it lands us, it's sort of Kama-monastic. Subplane 14 lands us on the highest level of the astral plane, and 17 lands us on the monastic level of the mental plane. One Egyptian, there's a lioness goddess breathing into she's breathing breath into the human being, and she has 14 pearls. Yes. 14 is very many times appearing where something is about to be reborn. Yeah, reborn or regenerated. Okay, that's a good point. Yeah, there's some mysteries going on here. By the way, the number 14 is also related to Venus, the way 17 is related to Mercury. If you work with numerology. See, so oh goodness, let me go back here. So yeah, the 14 is a 5. 14 equals 5, and the 17 equals 8, equals 8, which together are 13, which are 4, the fourth path. Interesting. The Sirius is the planet of Mercury. Sounds like the tail is wagging the dog, but yeah, that's how it's sometimes expressed. Yes. So we could work this out in terms of subplanes. Here, the highest of the astral and the most monastic part of the mental, which is the 17. We have 31 and we have 13. 3, 1, 1, 3. In either case, we have path 4. 5 plus 8 equals 13 equals 4. So the numbers are correct, but obviously there's a lot more depth to it. There was a man who laid all the creative hierarchies up. He didn't stop on the cosmic physical plane. He kept going cosmic plane after cosmic plane until he got to the very top of the supercosmic planes, which would be like this up here. He stopped up here. You know, in other words, our own cosmic plane, physical plane, is right here. And then he added 6 more on top of it, laying the hierarchies up one after another. And he tried to figure out what this 14 and 17 meant on that basis. He also went to the table of creative hierarchies, which we could do too, but I'm not sure that it profits too much. We just want to get the overview right now. There's nothing here that looks like 1 and 7 particularly, is there? No. And there's nothing that looks like 1 and 4 unless, no, there's 2 and 4. Anyway, he searched these columns of numbers and sought to find the answer to the 17 and the 14. But I think there's something here about the secret of Kama Manus, because Sirius, the star of sensitivity, is the star of Kama Manus. And Venus is, in this case, Kama, and Mercury is Manus. And we find that the numbers 5 and 8 will correspond. That's a little far-fetched, but I think it brings in something interesting. The method whereby the adept fits himself to tread upon this path is called that of duplex rotary motion. So maybe this is the wheel turning upon itself, or 2 wheels turning upon themselves, and rhythmic dancing upon the square. The rhythm is one of the key factors of the 4th ray and the 7th ray. The square is the area of manifestation. So square is the area of manifestation, and we could even the cosmic physical plane as the square. Duplex rotary motion. There is the wheel turning upon itself. It has to do with redemption and reversal. And what we have with Sirius is the man goes forth, created by Sirius, becoming human, going forth into matter. You hit the bottom, and then you return, drawn in by Sirius. You go out into the outer world of objectivity, and then you come into the inner subjective world. But the wheel turns upon itself as you do that. when you think about Christ and the disciples. 12 was the number of the hierarchies. All the particles have been brought together. And there starts to be some sort of gravitation towards the center, and then it rises towards another dimension. Well, okay, all right. You know, we must ponder it because, and I think this may have been drawn by Duane too. You know, by the way, Joe Waltz, try to remind me. We should be reaching the end of this particular section. I think, yes, we are. And I will go to the link that Joe Waltz sent me, which goes to Duane Carpenter's website, where he has painted a few of the paths, you know, in computer art. So we might be able to see what that looks like from his point of view. Okay, the symbol which is first given to the pledged disciple to study, but which may, however, be described, is a duality of interlocked wheels revolving at great pace in opposite directions. A duality of interlocked wheels. Now, does that mean that there are two wheels or two sets of two, and thus producing a unified whole? These wheels are portrayed as manifesting electric blue flame, rotating and revolving with great rapidity around an equal armed cross. You wonder whether there's two sets of two rotating, you know, within themselves and revolving around the equal armed cross, which is the cross of matter. The cross is pictured in orange fire with a deep emerald green circle, reminding us of Venus again with its 5 emeralds, flaming at the point in the center where the 4 arms of the cross meet. Whoa, it's quite intricate, isn't it? The symbolism of these colors links this 4th path to the solar system preceding this one, because it's the emerald solar system preceding this one. In that system, the Sirian influence was more potent than in the present one. That's a surprising statement, because it is so important for initiation in this present system, and he is, of course, the initiator of our solar logos. It is not possible to add more to this beyond pointing out that the quality gained by the adept who treads this path may not be revealed. He certainly revealed it in other places. He comes under the concentrated influence of the energy which is identified with the planetary antiscarana. So Venus becomes very influential. It is not permitted, therefore, to state what its specific quality may be, as it would convey too much information to the intelligent reader as to the nature of the objective of a particular planetary logos. Well, you kind of wonder about this electric blue energy. We have a first-ray monad on our planet, and maybe some of that gets into our planetary anticarana. We're talking about that which goes towards Venus. So here is the summary. The path to Sirius, attributes, cosmic rapture and rhythmic bliss, source, Sirius via the sun, which veils the zodiacal sign, which I think will be revealed in the raised and initiation section. Hierarchy, veiled by the numbers 14 and 17. Well, you know what number 14 may mean? The fifth creative hierarchy of solar angels. Number 5 may mean the fifth, almost liberated creative hierarchy, ruled by Cancer. Number 8, derived from 17, may mean, again, the fifth creative hierarchy, veiled by Cancer. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. Okay, it's possible also. 8 can be the human creative hierarchy, which is 4th, but Scorpio is 8. But there's something about, I think what we've got here, I think we have the solar angels and their higher prototype. And let me show you. Yeah, I think there's something there. Okay, let me show you this very quickly in the table of creative hierarchies. Okay. 14 is 5. 5 is the fifth creative hierarchy of solar angels. Now, if 8 of Scorpio is important, then we would also look at the human hierarchy, which, yes, Mercury could come in via that. Now, here is another one. The fifth creative hierarchy is the 8th. The 5 is the 8. So 14 points to 5, and 17 points to 8. So this great Cancerian hierarchy, which takes care of everybody on the cosmic physical plane, and which is the higher prototype of the fifth creative hierarchy, the Capricorn hierarchy, they're related. DK talks about how the Cancer hierarchy, almost on the cosmic astroplane, is related to the fifth Capricorn hierarchy of solar angels. I think it's the mystery of the solar angels here. It's all about becoming a solar angel, going to Sirius, and it's like the cosmic, Venus rules the fifth creative hierarchy, and Neptune rules the 8th. So they are higher octaves of each other. The Neptune hierarchy, which is almost onto the cosmic astral plane, is number 5. The Venus hierarchy down here is also number 5. This is the Venus one, that's the Neptune one. One is the higher octave of the other. So those are some of the strands of thought you would use. And then you'd want to relate that to man, of course, to Mercury, the number 8, and so forth, and to Scorpio. And, ponder on it for a long time, and something might emerge. The method: duplex rotary motion and rhythmic dancing upon the square. Of course, rhythm and joy and bliss are all suggested. And you know what? Neptune, being the planet of bliss, may receive this group onto the cosmic astral plane, because it's just there. That Neptune hierarchy is just there on the cosmic astral plane, just about, and I think will receive the dancing ones. First they go to Venus, then I wonder where else they go. Do they go to Neptune too? The ones on the fourth path. The great mystics and rapturists and bliss, blissful beings dancing along the way. The symbol, two wheels of electric fire revolving around an orange cross with an emerald at the center, flaming. The cross, yes, is orange, and not only is the emerald at the center, but the emerald is around it. Didn't he just say? An emerald circle relating to the first solar system. Okay. He says not much can be said about this path. But obviously, he's said a whole lot on which we could ponder our whole life. Now, I want to just quickly see what I might be able to find here. This is, I'm going to look up the subject. Okay. You may be experiencing degraded audio. Okay. It could be, huh? So we want to see if we can go to Lightweaver. The trouble is with Lightweaver that there's more than one Lightweaver in the world here. And, okay. Subject is Duane. Let's see if we can find him. Joe Walsh. All right, let's see if we can find that. And here, insert in basic statement, Joe Walsh. Wait, seems important for us, etc., etc., etc. No, that's not the one. Is there any other Joe Walsh here? See Duane's connections. No, that's Duane Elgin. Wrong one. She just sent this to me. How about Duane, put an illustration in response, reference. Yeah, but it's Light/Weaver. So let's try this again. Paths. Try that. Here we go. Reference. No. This is not the same. This is not the same one. Joe just sent this to me. I should be able to find it. There's no Lightweaver. Well, let's just try this. Well, we are here. This is it. However, now the question is, here it is. My gosh, seek and you shall find, huh? 7 cosmic paths, 7 cosmic paths graphics, excerpts. Okay, let's try this. Lightweaver.com. Okay, this is it. Whoa, he's done a beautiful job. Whoa, beautiful job. Here is click to enlarge. Okay. Thank you. This is the first path. There's the green dragon. He's supposed to be holding the scales in his hand somewhere. Here are the 2 pillars. Here's Draco. Libra is involved. There's a door. Saturn is involved. Luminosity, luminosity, let your light shine forth. Method 12, cosmic identifications. So light-weaver.com. If you just put Lightweaver, you're going to get some commercial company that's dealing with, okay, attributes, wise, compassion, constellation of the dragon. All right. We'll have to study this step by step, but just so you know where it is. Okay. All right, that's going back to Lightweaver.com. Welcome to Lightweaver. Okay, 7 cosmic paths, graphics. Now here is path number 2. Whoa. He believes that Antares is there. Gemini is given. Whoops. Come back. Come back. There are the four torches around the funeral fire. Dry alchemical fires are involved. They're being kept alive and flaming by all the winds of heaven. Is Antares the source? Well, Gemini is certainly the source. I know theorists who believe Antares is the source. The entering of the burning ground, the rising star, rising blue star, indigo star, and it leads to the cosmic astral plane. Eventually, through alchemization onto the seventh path, you become absolute sparks of parental love. So if we really want to study these things, we have a lot to go with. Now, let's see if I can get back to this other one. Seven cosmic paths, graphics. Okay. I have to go back to Lightweaver, unfortunately. And now let's look at the third path. Here is that prismatic 7 and 12. A school of beneficent magicians is related to Jupiter. There's a second order idea here, a Betelgeuse. And here are all the qualities given. So it's quite intricate. And there's a Tibetan statement. This is Tibetan, of course. Now, whatever the Senza word is, maybe Duane has some idea about that. Okay, and we have also the Orion Nebula and Betelgeuse. But is it more than the Orion Nebula? I will really have to talk with him about this. Okay, now let's go on to the next one. Okay, welcome to Lightweaver. Come on now. And finally, we'll look at the fourth path. This is how he conceives of the duplex rotary motion. Two wheels revolving around the square. I think he's conceived it quite well. The orange cross. Hey, that's a brilliant conception, really. Our sun is involved here. Mind, Mahat, and Buddhi. Planetary Antaskarana. He's included it all, really. And perhaps this is represents Sirius. Vulcan, for some reason, is here. I'm not sure why, but maybe Duane has an idea about that. Obviously he does, because he's included it. All right, so we have plenty to study, don't we? Maybe he's written about all of these. Let's just see. Seven Paths excerpts and rays in the initiations. Yes, okay. So he's basically quoted the sections we've been reading in connection with them. But there are some of his choices that we need to discuss. All right, so we have plenty here to examine, so I would suggest that we do that. I don't think that it is profitable right now to go into it completely and in depth. But if you can read this on your own, then we have a basis. He's done, it's quite a website here. It represents a long artistic effort of some 20 or 30 20 or 30 years. Okay, and here are the summaries. I think we've seen what they are. Yes, we've been reading these summaries. All right. All right. So we thank Joe for giving this to us, or suggesting that we look at it, because it's a great, great tool. He's brought together a lot of information and expressed it very beautifully. Okay, is there anything we want to say about this path to Sirius? Anything that strikes us? I think his solution of the duplex rotary motion is really brilliant. There's two wheels, and they're passing each other, I suppose. Maybe going in opposite directions. Yeah. Let's look at that Sirius one more time. Whether Vulcan should be there or not, we have to see. We have seen there is an Antikarana involving Venus. This is not given. And is the sun the source before Sirius? Should it be Venus, Sun, and then Sirius? Some of these things have to be worked out. Well, I'm waiting for this thing to be animated. I think maybe, maybe he could show that. Rhythmic dancing upon the square. Yes, I believe the cross is the square. And maybe if we could get everything moving, it would give the sense of the rhythmic dancing. I guess we have to come into some sort of fourth ray rhythm with a higher vibration. By the dancing, it suggests a frequency, and we would be tuned up to this higher bliss state involved in Sirius. It's said to be a path which offers very great opportunity, though also many challenges. Maybe we can look a little bit at what is said next. This is challenging material. Yes, absolutely. Yes, Ella, yes. From your chains, you can do that, yeah. And it has rhythm as well. But Vulcan is lame in one leg, and he's hardly the dancer. So I don't know. So that's the question. Why choose Vulcan? But, these are metaphysical questions, and we'll have to question Duane. I'm sure he has his own good reasons. He studied these things for many, many years, and he's astute in the understanding. There are some sources, and some of Stephen Pugh's theories are here too, many of which I think are very evocative, very good. But it has to be thought through so very carefully. Suffice it to say, look, the masters are pondering these things. So here we are just being exposed to them, and we could find it overwhelming, perhaps a little overwhelming. But don't get overwhelmed. We will go forward with it. All right, a little bit more here. We may not be able to do all of this, but just enough to see what he may have added in the rays and the initiations. I frequently hinted in my various books that the sun, Sirius, is closely related to our planetary life. Somewhere he says in astrology, why in the world would Sirius take notice of our tiny little planet? And yet, he does. Maybe in the same way that Orion has taken notice of tiny little Sirius. If you look at it from one perspective, Sirius is the dog following the great hunter. So there's no question about the magnitude of Orion compared to that of Sirius, just like the magnitude of Sirius compared to our little little planet. Yes, it just depends on which little one the big one chooses. So we're all part of this larger system. Yeah, sure. That is very true. And the question is, why Earth in relation to Sirius? There's so many little ones out there. Why Earth? And why Sirius in relation to Orion? Well, they're certainly placed in the sky in that way. He doesn't give Mars or Pluto as immediately destined for sacredness. Earth might need some help, yes. And even Sirius might need some help in a still. Everybody needs help, you know. Might be some alignment along the line of 4. Could be the cross. Sirius has this cross in the middle. Well, it is kind of a cosmic Christ in a way, isn't it? Our fourth order solar system. Mm. All of the 4s of our particular system. Yeah. They fit with the Sirian 4. They do. They do. Okay. Much is known in the hierarchy about this connection of Sirius to our planetary life and the particular relationship of the 4th path to humanity, the 4th kingdom in nature, but little can be communicated to the general public. And by that he means, look, when I write a book, the general public sees it. So therefore, there's certain things I just don't write. I may, however, tell you certain things which may make your imaginative rangings, if I may use so strange a phrase, creatively profitable to you. So it's like when you go grazing or something, go grazing with the imagination. You're going to cover some ground and speculate. What can I tell you? This great sun, yeah, we can wander with the imagination, but it's kind of a directed wandering. It's not just let anything come up. This great sun, which is to our solar logos what the monad is to the spiritual man, has a peculiar part to play where our earth is concerned. It might be considered by those with a sound sense, or a sound sense of occult proportion, that our tiny planet with its planetary logos, one of the imperfect gods of the secret doctrine, would be too small to enter in the slightest way into the consciousness of that supreme, illumined entity who is greater even than our solar logos. And then he just says, such, however, is the case. It's just the case. It is so. There is a relationship of very ancient date between the Lord of the world, Sanat Kumara, and the Lord of Sirius. And this exists in spite of the fact that our planet is not a sacred planet. He doesn't explain it, doesn't say where it came from. He just said it exists as tiny as our planet is compared to Sirius. Yes, and who knows, when you have a pet in your house, you just don't know the future of it. Master Moria said, well, why will a master pass by and just ignore an apparently holy man and stop and give real attention to a dog? Why? Because he senses some potential in that little creature. And, he senses the fakery of the other one or whatever. So relationships are established early on, and they may blossom later. It might be added that our planet is, in this immediate cycle, owing to the factors I've lately considered with you, rapidly passing out of the non-sacred stage. And here's the statement where he says, and on the inner planes, and subjectively considered, is a sacred planet. And that must mean, presumably, on planes higher than the dense physical levels of the solar logos. So our three worlds, we're not talking about that. We're talking about something higher. The effects of this transition from non-sacred to sacred have not fully demonstrated themselves objectively, and I think, as you were saying, Britta was saying, maybe we need a little help with this transition. Okay, so help with the transition. The mystery of this relationship is partially revealed at one of the higher initiations, and it is then realized by the initiates that there is a good and adequate reason for the relation, and that the following esoteric events, relations, and happenings are simply consequences of the relationship between Sirius and our Earth. Okay. Okay, and what are these consequences? The majority of liberated human beings, therefore a large number of initiates who have to make decision, choose this way to the cosmic center. By the way, Sirius is not being called the cosmic center. The one about whom is the cosmic center. Okay, but Sirius is along the way. The relationship as it expresses itself is between the hierarchy and Sirius, and not between Shambhala and this stupendous sun. And that's one of the meanings, that Sirius, that Sanat Kumara is not on the Sirian line. Because it's not Shambhala Sirius, it's hierarchy Sirius. Thus, SK is not on the Sirian line. The energy evoked in response to this relationship enters the hierarchy via the heart of the sun, creating as a consequence a triangle of spiritual energy of enormous potency, and there it is. Sirius, heart of the sun, hierarchy, because in a way, Shambhala is the analogy to the solar central spiritual sun. But Sirius, the cosmic Christ, hits the soul nature of our solar logos, and then the soul nature of our planet. So the central spiritual sun is left out of the consideration. It's out of the... Right. And another consequence, as progress is made in the course of taking the higher initiations, it becomes apparent to the initiate that two major streams of force enter our planetary life. That doesn't mean that Sirius is not connected with the cosmic mental plane. It also is. A stream of energy coming from the cosmic mental plane. And from that focal point, which is to Sanat Kumara, what the egoic lotus, the soul, is to the spiritual man. So we are talking about the causal body of Sanat Kumara. It carries the life principle of our planet and centers itself in Shambhala. From there it is dispersed throughout all forms upon the planet, and we call it life, about which he says we know nothing. It must be remembered that this life principle embodies or is impregnated with the will and purpose of that which overshadows Sanat Kumara, as the soul overshadows the personality. Well, okay, what is that? Is it the solar angelic nature of our planet? It's something on the high planes. He doesn't mean absolute being, but he means a high entity, because the soul overshadows the personality. It's not too distant a relationship. So anyway, there are two streams of energy. The soul of Sanat Kumara on the cosmic mental plane down into Shambhala. We call it life. Another stream of energy coming from the sun Sirius. This is the one we're really dealing with right now. This enters directly into the hierarchy, and carries with it the principle of Buddhi or cosmic love. So the deeper rays of Sirius are involved here. This, in a mysterious way, is found at the heart of every atom. So basically, he's saying, in our solar system, cosmic love is found at the heart of every atom. And this is Buddhi. The life principle thus follows the line 1357, whilst the Buddhic line follows 246. So we certainly see that there's a dual line here. Atma Buddhi becomes the blended reality, which is brought to full unfoldment as evolution proceeds. And we've been reading a lot about Atma Buddhi. It is the quality, the express quality of the monad. Now, if you turn out to be really interested in this, it will take a lot of study, additional study. This is just exposure, that's all. The energy of Sirius, to use a modern word, bypasses Shambhala and is focused in hierarchy. That couldn't be more clearly said. Could not be more clearly said. And that's why the Christ, the head of the hierarchy, is considered an initiate in relation to Sirius. The effect of Sirius is not felt until after the third initiation. It's so refined an energy. Though the masters use this energy whilst training disciples for the second, fourth, and sixth initiation, so there's some attenuated Sirian energy which is projected by the masters in the training process for the second initiation. So remember that Venus is active at the second initiation, and so is Sirius. Further, along this line, the entire work of the Great White Lodge is controlled from Sirius. Our whole hierarchy is controlled from Sirius. That's a mouthful. The ashrams are subjected to its cyclic interflow, inflow, every Leo time. Leo, Sirius, Leo. That's what we've been looking for, right? A certain constellation. So the Syrian festival occurs in Leo. That's the constellation we've been looking for. Leo is the related constellation. The higher initiations are taken under its stimulation. For the principle of Buddhi, or pure love, love wisdom, must be active in the heart of every initiate prior to the initiation of the great decision. So the higher initiations, well, what do we call them? 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, 3, 4, 5, 4, 6, 7. It is therefore only initiates of the 5th, 6th, and higher initiations who can work potently, who can work consciously with the potent Buddhic livingness which permeates all ashrams. It's almost like Atma Buddhi again, or the monad being involved. Monad plus Buddhi, though unrecognized by the average disciple. So, wow, you know, not even at the fourth can there be conscious work with Buddhic livingness. Kind of sets things straight in a way. The arhat of the fourth degree, just recently being through the pleasant experience of crucifixion, cannot yet entirely work with Buddhic energy, but he's certainly getting used to it, to the intuition, and so forth. Oh my. This Syrian influence was not recognized, and little of it was definitely focused in the hierarchy until the Christ, a Syrian Krishna Maitreya initiate, came and revealed the love of God to humanity. So how interesting. Now, remember, though, that Sirius was very potent in the first solar system, but strictly from the monastic point of view. Now the cosmic Christ aspect is revealed via the Christ. He is the expression par excellence of a Syrian initiation, that one being the third. which is our 7th. And it is to that high place. Now, look at this. This is such an important one. It is to that high place of Sirius that the Christ will eventually go, no matter what duties or hierarchical obligations may take him elsewhere between that time and now. In other words, Christ is on the ray path, becoming a ray of cosmic love, but eventually to Sirius. Now, this is such interesting information. The Buddha was originally to have chosen the 4th path, but other plans confront him now and will, there's the qualifier, probably claim his choice. The Tibetan is not, he's just not committing himself to say what the Buddha will do. You know, the Buddha is a little bit unpredictable. He's got this history of having chosen Earth's service and so forth. Going on, I'm just trying to give us this overview, realizing, of course, that the hour is late and, yeah. Sanat Kumara is not on the Syrian line, but to speak in symbols not too deeply veiled, Lucifer, son of the morning, is closely related. Now, you know, Lucifer is Venus. Venus Lucifer. Venus Hesperus, I think, and Venus Lucifer. It's the rising Venus. You know, and also Venus is like the angel who fell. The group of solar angels who fell into incarnation for the sake of service, not because they're kicked out of heaven. So Lucifer is involved here, and this is not the devil. This is the bright star giving manus to humanity, and hence the large number of human beings who will be disciples in the Syrian lodge. So from Earth to Venus, Lucifer, to the Syrian lodge. But much more work is needed here on the idea of Lucifer. Remember what Blavatsky called her magazine? Much to the horror of all the fundamentalist Christians then and now, Lucifer. And we just happen to kind of belong to the Lucis Trust. This LUC, you know, oh, you're of the devil, but no, it's really, you're of Venus and the host of solar angels, bringing the light. That's what we're doing. The light-bearing influence. But, you know, these religions are under Mars, and that's why they're fighting with their, well, with one they will come to love, but they're fighting with Venus. It's the personality fighting with the soul. It's the lunar lords ruled by Mars fighting with the soul, the solar angels. That's what we're dealing with in the world religious situation right now. And the noisiest religions and the bloodiest and the, you know, the most violent are the Martian religions fighting with the Venus tendencies. Okay. This is the true Blue Lodge on Sirius, and to become a candidate in that lodge, the initiate of the 3rd degree has to become the lowly aspirant with all the true and full initiations awaiting him within the sunshine of the major sun, and where no evil can exist. No evil as we know it or understand it. There's so many of these points, point, and they're all important. None of the above facts indicates divergence of view between Shambhala and the hierarchy, because in a way, Sanat Kumara is long ago related to Sirius. Nor do they signify cleavage or differing aims and goals. DK has to say this, because there's some people, they're so crazy, he says, I'm a will person, not a love person. You know, that's what they do. And you have a choice in the modern era. You can become a will person or you can become a love person, you know, like that. Which, of course, doesn't make sense, since the will of God is love. And we live in a solar system where God is ultimately a second ray monad, expressing will on the second ray. So You know, the whole subject is reflected in such minor relations on earth as those between the spiritual triad and the personality. I suppose, what is the whole subject? Is this the Shambhala hierarchy relationship? The mental unit and the monastic permanent atom, Atma Buddhi, the Christ and the Buddha. Well, I think we're dealing with the will line and the love line. In a way, Buddha is representing the will line, Christ is the love line, Atma, of course, Buddhi, of course, monastic permanent atom, part of the will line, mental unit still below, within the soul, and so forth. Yes, he's right, and it's up to us to correlate. The above somewhat uncorrelated items of information will give you a general idea of the significant connection between our unimportant little planet and that vast expression of divinity, the life which is manifesting through Sirius. Our unimportant little planet and Sirius. Well, everything we're doing is under Sirius. This whole study is under Sirius. Master DK, KH, the Christ, Sanat Kumara, the whole theme of initiation, under Sirius. In a way, it's the most important star we can see and relate to. It is an expression which is organized and vital beyond anything man can vision, and which is free to a completely unlimited extent, again beyond the power of man to comprehend. So there is this connection. It's organized beyond anything we can imagine. And it is free. Now, what does that mean? It is free beyond anything man can, free to a completely unlimited extent. And I won't say much about it, but I think you know this fact. The law of freedom comes from Sirius. Sorry. Here's how it goes. Sirius goes through an unnamed planet, which Nicholas thinks may be Isis. And that may be very true. Out there synthesizing the fact that Sirius goes through Uranus, Sirius goes through Neptune, Sirius goes through Saturn. Through Sirius going through Neptune, the law of freedom is expressed. Through Sirius going through Neptune, the sensitivity of Sirius is expressed, the brilliant star of sensitivity. Sirius going through Saturn, what do you think? Another law. Sirius through Saturn. Dum, da-dum, dum, da-dim. Law of... Well, yes. Karma, the law of karma. Let me borrow the karma. The law of karma. Makes sense, right? But not at this hour of the afternoon. After 5 days of this kind of stuff, it doesn't make sense. Okay. Okay. The principle of freedom is a leavening energy which can permeate substance in a unique manner. Boy, talk about Uranus and Aries going on right now. The Syrian law of freedom is really at work. Uranus. Now, a lot of people want to put shackles on that right away, but I think it will win out. This divine principle represents an aspect only of the influence which Sirius exerts on our solar system, and particularly on our planet with its first ray monad. It's obvious I'm trying to finish this by 4 o'clock, right? I'm talking a little faster. All right. This principle of freedom is one of the attributes of deity, like will, love, and mind, of which humanity as yet knows little. The freedom for which men fight is one of the lowest aspects of this cosmic freedom, which is related to certain great evolutionary developments that enable the life or spirit aspect to free itself from the impact, the contact, and influence of substance. So, spirit will not remain imprisoned. And what's so interesting, we've just passed through a period when Uranus, the planet of freedom, was in the planet of prisons, the star of the sign of prisons, Pisces. And that's when it all began. Right at the very end of Pisces, we had this great revolution, the breaking out of prison. I think that's very. We also had the attempt in the United States at health reform. Well, you know, Pisces and health, hospitals, all the rest. Uranus reform, and then there's the United States. Okay, you know. Anyway, it went through, and maybe it will stay. Who knows? It is the principle of freedom that enables Sanat Kumara to dwell on the earth and yet stand free from all contacts except with those who have trodden the path of liberation and now stand free upon the cosmic physical plane at the very top of it, at the logoic. How do you spell that? Top. It is that which enables the initiate to achieve a state of isolated unity. It is that which lies behind the spirit of death and forms the motivating power of the great releasing agency, because Uranus, after all, lots of Earth ray, and brings, you know, the life out of the lesser forms. The lesser forms die so the archetype can be established. It is that which provides a pathway of power between our hierarchy and the distant sun, Sirius, and gives the incentive towards the culture of freedom or liberation which motivates the work of the masters of wisdom. This should be read again. This is very clear, very inspiring, very uplifting. I'm just reading through it now to expose us to it, but it should be repondered. It is that which produces the ferment. You know, what's ferment? You put yeast in something and it all bubbles up and starts to rise, right? It's leavened bread rather than unleavened bread. Looks like unleavened bread is very saturnine, very flat. Maybe you've had some of it. It's good with butter, but you know, it's kind of flat and crunchy. And leavened bread is what Martha brings every day. You know, now if she brings unleavened bread, we'll know it. Matzah, it's called. You know. All right. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Okay, good, because I'm not sure I do. Anyway, here we go. It is that which produced the ferment and the vortex of conflict in far distant ages, and which has been recognized in the present through the results of the law of evolution in every kingdom of nature. This is that which substands or lies under all progress. Well, that's the summary. Freedom and progress. This mysteriously exerted influence, this pulling away from form. That's a good way of looking at it. Pulling away from form. Actually, people look at that nice star Sirius and they don't realize what it will do to them in relation to form. That's why it's called the scorcher. It really changes your relationship to form and oftentimes breaks up the forms with which you have been much involved. Remember, at the Leo full moon, it's the Sirius festival, and Uranus, the principle of freedom, the hierarchical ruler of Leo, is very, very strong at that time. Leo full moon, Sirius and the Leo full moon. At that august moment, there's DK playing with words, giving us the hint that it's in August. He does that every once in a while. He gives you an absolutely literal word, and you say, that's an august moment. That's nice, very solemn, nice moment. You look right over the hint, and you completely ignore what he's trying to say. But we did figure that one out. Anyway, this mysteriously exerted influence, this pulling away from form, as we might simply call it, emanates from Sirius, and for it we have no name. Okay? It is the law of which the three cosmic laws, the law of synthesis, attraction, economy, are only aspects. None of these three subsidiary laws imposes any rule or limitation upon the Lord of the world. Okay, but the laws do limit us. The law of freedom, however, does impose. He says it doesn't have a name, and yet he calls it the law of freedom. Maybe it doesn't have an occult name, or none that we can have. This law of freedom, however, does impose certain restrictions. If one can use such a paradoxical phrase. Freedom and Saturn, they also, you know, have to operate together. It is responsible for Sanat Kumara for his being known as the great sacrifice. For under the control of this law of freedom, he created our planetary life and all that is within and upon it in order to learn to wield this law with full understanding, in full consciousness, and yet at the same time to bring release to the myriad of forms of his creation. So, the White Lodge may not compel. The White Lodge may not compel. The Black Lodge is compelling all the time. It forces you to do this, forces you to do that. It is putting you under pressure. It's Pluto robbing you of your will. The White Lodge accentuates your free will. As Sanat Kumara learns all he can about the law of freedom. That's the one thing that cannot be violated, so it's a limitation on all the masters. Why don't you come down and make us better? They can't do it. All they can do is work with the means by which we, in our power of choice, accept the responsibility for making ourselves better. This is the great limitation upon them. DK says, don't you realize we could come down, we could intervene, we could shape it all up, and then you'd be in worse condition than before. You would have learned nothing, and you would just repeat the same old thing. So this is what causes in them that exquisite agony, where they're, spiritual agony, where they're wondering what the choice of humanity will be, because they're so identified with humanity that they feel all the potentials of the good and the bad that can arise from the choice which they cannot force. And that's tough, I'm sure. It's so easy. Let me get in there and fix that, Can't do that. Can't do that. The law of economy affects humanity as a whole today throughout every phase of its life. The law of attraction under love is beginning to gain some control, particularly in the work of the hierarchy, which the work of hierarchy undertakes to do. So love is beginning to come in, but remember, it's the lords of liberation that are on the first ray. They kind of saved the day in World War II, but they couldn't do it unless there had been enough of the invocation of humanity where they were actually invoked to do so. Okay. And many initiates and senior disciples are becoming aware of the significance of the law of synthesis and are reacting to its impact. Later on, boy, this law of freedom is really a big thing, Later on, when moving to one of the 7 paths, the master will work with the law of freedom. This is not, as you may well surmise, its true name. Yeah, see? That's why he says it doesn't have a name we can talk about. This is not its true name. For in the last analysis, freedom and liberation are effects of its activity. Okay, not true name. Freedom and liberation are effects. Well, it causes you to ponder, doesn't it, about what this can really be. But he described it as a pulling away from matter, a liberation from substance, a disengagement from substance. It means it's a law under which, let's just see, substance, no, that's the wrong color. Substance cannot be allowed to hold the spirit. Freedom isn't the quality, it's the result of the quality. No, he's not telling us what the quality is. And for some of these qualities, he says, we have no words yet. True words. But at least it gives you that, the unnamed, unknown attributes that are ready to present. And notice, they're always a bit more. Here's 1, 2, 3. Synthesis, love, economy. And here's the synthesis, which is one of 1, 2, 3, and here's the synthesis and so forth. So we always have that synthesizing quality which is unnamed until we can kind of get there and experience it. This unique and mysterious law governs the life and lives upon Sirius, and it is to that unknown sphere of functioning and intelligent activity, it is to that unknown sphere of functioning and intelligent activity what the law of economy is to our planet, the lowest of the laws controlling in planetary existence. In other words, we've got a Ray 3 planet, law of economy, it's the lowest law. Law of attraction is more, law of synthesis more. This law, unnamed law, which synthesizes economy, attraction, and synthesis, is the lowest of the Sirian laws. Well, never let it be said that there's not enough to do in cosmos, okay? Okay, I'm making my way here to the end. The law of economy includes, as you know, from my earlier writings, many lesser and subsidiary laws. Cosmic Fire is full of that. It might therefore be stated that this law of freedom also does the same. Law of freedom, the lowest Sirian law, contains many other, or a number of aspects. Until more divine attributes are realized as existing and recognized as aspects, attributes as aspects, okay, it is not possible to name for the name of the law which embodies the law of freedom to be given, and there is no word in our language adequately available. Well, no one can say Master DK is not expanding our mind, right? Did you ever think you'd get into such a mind stretcher in your life? I mean, really, it's just, he's just challenging the ring past knot of the average mind, isn't he? And, what are we but average minds, actually? But we're on our way to being something different. The above information will, however, link Sirius and our little planet, the Earth, in your minds. Thank you. Okay. Masonry, as originally instituted far back in the very night of time, and long antedating the Jewish dispensation, which colors Masonry very much, was organized under direct Syrian influence and modeled as far as possible on certain Syrian institutions, and bearing a slight resemblance also to our hierarchical life as seen in the light of the eternal now. It's the Blue Lodge of Masonry. There are 3 degrees in Blue Lodge Masonry. It's Blue Lodge, with its 3 degrees, is related to the 3 major groups of lives on Sirius. For there are there no kingdoms in nature such as we possess. These groups, 3 groups, receive all those who choose the 4th path and train them in the mode of existence and the type of livingness which is found on Sirius. Well, I don't know. Maybe one can become more than a solar angel or less. I mean, on Sirius, there are 3 possible lines of development. Are they sequential? Well, we don't know. We'll find out when we get there. This will make it plain to you that the least developed of the Syrian lives are, from our standpoint, all of them, initiates of very high degree. So when you pass the 5th initiation, you're an entered apprentice, you're a 1st degree initiate on Sirius. Masonry is therefore connected in a peculiar way with the 4th path, and if you look at the 4th ray method of teaching truth, it is through Masonry. The 4th ray method is through Masonry. Down the ages, the Masonic tradition has been preserved, changing its nomenclature from time to time, reinterpreting its words of power, and consequently getting further and further removed from its original beauty and intent. But Masonry is in the process of being revived, and some groups are doing that, and some of them are affiliated with us as well, and we with them. So an effort is being made. The time has now come, under cyclic law in preparation for the new age, for certain changes to be worked by Masons with spiritual understanding. And the present Jewish coloring of Masonry is completely out of date and has been preserved far too long, for it is today either Jewish or Christian, and should be neither. The Blue Lodge degrees are entirely Jewish in phrasing and wording that should be altered. The higher degrees are predominantly Christian, though permeated with Jewish names and words. This too should end. And these people who are doing this, and you know Keith Bailey, or about him, or many maybe about him, he's really doing a great job at making this happen. I'm on I'm on rapid fire here. Okay, this Jewish coloring is today one of the main hindrances to the full expression of Masonic intention and should be changed, whilst preserving the fact and detail and structure of. Anyway, this is more for Masons. More for Masons. Anyway, the nomenclature will change, and they're changing that, and the cyclic transformation will proceed until such a time as the bulk of humanity, standing with massed intent, I suppose, Vulcan, there we go, upon the fourth path, will pass through the initiatory process on Sirius, of which our entered apprentice degree, the first degree in Masonry, is a faint reflection. It's so sad that those who have been waiting to discuss the ray path may actually have to come to the next class. Well, Denmark in the winter, if I talk that fast, I'm sure we could finish by 11 tonight. Well, okay, look, we've had a review. We have discussed 4 paths. Some of it has obviously been extraordinarily tedious, heavy, weighty, abstract, abstruse, perplexing, beyond our capacity to think, maybe making us feel mind numb and brain dead. It's possible at certain times. But, DK has given us this marvelous view of a world which we could not conceive in thousands and thousands of years without the assistance of a mastermind, a master visionary, who was delegated by Master KH, by the Christ, and by Sanat Kumara to do this and be a messenger to humanity of the greater truths. So, we have a great gratitude for his presentation. And even if it's really tough at times and really challenges everything we have, we will find that by working within his consciousness, within the indigo sphere, as it were, at the time of the full moon, you go in there, you contact the consciousness of Master DK, we will find that by working within his consciousness, there will be an upliftment of our consciousness, regardless of the particular efforts we make. In other words, we say, well, I have to do it all myself, and it's very hard, and how can I? But there will be a leavening of our consciousness just due to the darshan of his presence within the indigo sphere. So I would use that at the time of the full moon, the indigo sphere. And, yeah, it's exactly 4 o'clock. And I would have confidence that even though these things are difficult, that it's going to rub off on you. You can feel completely bewildered by it all, but then strangely, it begins to take root, and you don't know why. Because it's not like your logic or your reason has suddenly dramatically improved, but there's a certain magical power in the words of a master. Yeah, the minutiae, understand more of the minutiae. It's a very sweeping picture, but it's something to aspire to. Absolutely. And remember that this ray of detailed unity is Master DK's approach to the second ray, the third aspect. He's presented that. I mean, where have you ever seen the second ray presented in that way in modern occultism? So, yes, we're in good hands here. And if we keep associated with these books and with the demands for expression which they present to us, we cannot help but grow together and grow as groups and be more effective in the world. So whatever oppression overtakes you as you wonder, how in the heck can I wade through all of this? Just keep waiting, all things come to him who wades. Sorry. I know, it's terrible pun, just terrible pun. You know, it's good to end on a terrible pun. All right, look, let us have the, I know some of you have to leave and catch planes and all the rest of it. So let us, all of us, have the great invocation together. We'll do that. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Okay. Thank you, everybody. And well, next end of next November, I guess, is when we are all meeting. It's up on the wall there somehow. We usually come directly from the United States and ought to somehow manage. So then the next time we meet, we'll have to finish the paths. We have some on the creative hierarchies to do. We'll take a few select stanzas of Jian. And then we will see. Then we will see where we are. Oh, yes, of course, the final examination. Yes, that. You don't mind that, do you? No, no, no. It's an all-day test, but it's okay, you know. You'll be ready for it by that time. But just don't think about it too much between now and then. It'll be what you call one of those pop quizzes. That's what you know. It's a surprise quiz. Okay. Well, I'll just talk to the webinar people here for a minute. When do you actually have to leave? Just not immediately. So there will be hugs all around between the diseased. Okay, among the diseased. Okay, webinar folks, thank you for being here. And I have maybe just a few minutes here. Is there anybody that would like to say anything, suggest anything? We have maybe, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the most, 10 or 15 minutes. So if there is someone who wishes to say or add or suggest, just raise your hand. I've been happy that you've been able to attend. Some of you have attended daily. And others, okay, Dorothy, I hear you, Dorothy. You may.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, I hear you just fine. You bet. Hi, Dorothy.
Well, sorry, I only get a little bit of each day at the end because of the time. I'm just so fascinated at how much Sirius has to do with our evolution.
Yes, it's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing. I'm going to pull a plug here, Dorothy, and just try something. Hold on. Okay, whoop, that won't work. Sorry, can't pull the plug. Sorry, I can't pull the plug. Okay, yeah, it is amazingly related to our evolution. Yes, indeed. Are you still there, or did that sound knock you off?
Even though there's such a gap, I mean, such a huge, mind-boggling stretch between Sirius and humanity's evolution.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an immense gulf, but somehow those lives are very attentive, and the hierarchy is very receptive, and somehow the care seems to be there to help us rise to the feet of one of their types of lives, you know, the solar angelic life. So it looks like we're on the track. But it is amazing, you know, when you think about this star, a close star, how totally influential it may be in our lives. Yeah. Well, okay, we can pause and wonder about these things. I appreciate your thought, and thanks for your attendance when you could. And give my best to the group there. And
yes,
sorry I couldn't be in person, but, you know, times have changed now.
Yeah.
So appreciate all the work that you've done for the promoting of the teaching and the Cosmic Fire class. Thanks for that, Dorothy. Okay.
Thank you.
Is there, would anybody else like to say something? If so, you can raise your hand. And I'm just scanning the, okay, Johanna, I see you. Okay, Johanna, hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, yes.
Okay. There's not so much I will say. I only want to thank you for the opportunity for me to join this group, and I hope I can do it the next time. Thank you very much.
Yes, that would be very, very nice if that were possible. Yes, thank you for being with us, and yeah, you can let your friends who are interested in this teaching know about it, because obviously we did have room for more folks along the way. So, but thank you for being with us, and you're most welcome. Thanks, Johanna.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, are there any other thoughts here? I'm kind of staggered by these thoughts. It's been a little while since I've read some of this material, and every time I read it, it seems to go deeper, and the implications are deeper, and the hints about different aspects. That whole questions about the orders of the orders of initiates being connected with a monadic ray, that gives me a very strong idea in relation to Betelgeuse and Orion and its function. And we did get that thing about the headdress and the Pharaohs and Orion, but we have to track its source. Okay, do we have any other folks who would like to offer any thought? Okay. All right. Well, if not, then these webinars, each of them about 1 gigabyte for 8 hours, will be put up as soon as Brett and I can do that. And they will be probably on transfer big files, or transfer, yeah, is that what it is? Transfer big files, yes. And also on Makara, where they will be stored permanently. It will just take a little while to get them up. I have to get them to Brett first. So then one can look at these things a little more leisurely, and then what you had to miss, you know, because after all, you can't necessarily be up all night, that will all be there. Good and bad, errors and truths for study and examination. So we'll say goodbye to you now with appreciation for your presence in meditation and in study. And I'll be getting back, you know, quite soon again on my astrology read-through and maybe other read-throughs. It's just, it's just a question of time management, really, because now we've solved some of the technical problems. And all of that will be up on Makara. www.makara, makara.us. All right, friends, you have a nice day, morning, evening, whatever it is for you, and we will be communicating, keep in touch with you, and finding out how you can access this material. Okay, best to everybody. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Stop recording. Turning things off. Okay, and cancel.